In Indian economy, we are going to discuss about economic growth. Okay, so first of all, we have to know the meaning of growth. So here, the growth is the term which arises from the life science. So life science is nothing but living. Okay, so for example, it is a study of the living organisms like biology, botany, zoology. Okay, so the main important growth is multiplication of the cells. So whenever there is a increasing in the mass or size of your body or something, organs, so we can call this is the growth of a particular body. Okay, so the growth is the important term which arises from the life science. Okay, so but in economy we can call this is the economic growth. Okay, so it means we take in the important meaning of the growth from the life science. So according to the life science, so it can say that increase in the mass or size of your body or organs. Okay, so that's why in economy point of view we are calling this is the economic growth. So it means the quantity of the goods and services are increasing in the economy, so we can call this is the economic growth. Okay, so what is the economic growth? Okay, so whenever there is a growth in the economy, so we can call this is the economic growth. So the increase in the amount of the goods and services in a particular country over a period of time. For example, within 1 year, if there is a growth, we can call this is the economic growth. So finally I can say that increase of the economic variables over a period of time. Okay, so it means the increase in the amount of the goods and services. So here the goods and services are quantifiability. Okay, so that's why any increase in the amount of the goods and services which are produced in the country over a period of time. Okay, so just we are comparing from one period of time to the another period. So that's why whenever there is a difference between the last year and this year, so we can say that this is the economic growth. Okay, so within the word growth there is a importance. Growth means increasing in mass or size. Okay, so it can say that quantity. Okay, whenever there is a increase in the quantity, we can say this is the growth. Okay, so this important growth, economic growth term can be used in various types. Okay, for example, individuals case, in the entire economy, and in the same way compared with the other countries, it means in the worldwide also. Okay, so for example, individuals case means, for example, my growth rate is 6% or 7% as compared with the previous year. Okay, so this is my growth, economic growth. It means, for example, any person is receiving 10,000 rupees salary, so in 2022 10,000 rupees, in 2023 15,000 rupees. It means here 5,000 rupees is the growth rate. Okay, so it means compare with the previous year he is getting 5,000 rupees more. Okay, so it means there is a growth means according to the monetary terms we can say that is the growth, economic growth of a particular person. Okay, so it means we can say that the economic growth, we can say that economic growth is increasing or decreasing, so as compared with the other previous years. Okay, so in the economy also, in one nation's economy also we can calculate the economic growth. Okay, so next worldwide also, the whole world also we can compare the growth. Okay, so the most important aspect of the growth is, so economic growth is quantifiability. Okay, so the ability to get the quantity, it means the quantity is the main important aspect of the economic growth. So here we are not taking the quality under the economic growth. So quality is not a perfect aspect under the economic growth. It means we are calculating just some, so there is no need to getting the quality. Okay, so here the amount is important, quantity is important, not quality. So there is no need to get the importance or emphasis in this economic growth, just we are calculating the sum of the goods and services, that's it. Okay, it means we are taking the numerical value, how much tons are increased, how much money is increased, that's it, but we are not taking about the quality of that particular product. Okay, so it means the entire importance of the economic growth is quantifiability. It means we are taking the quantity aspect from the economic growth. So it means by using the quantifiability, one can measure it in absolute terms. For example, 50 tons, 60 tons. Okay, it means I can say that in absolute terms. I can measure the entire production in absolute terms. Okay. So, for example, I'm saying about the economic growth is so and so. So, all the so many units of measurements they will apply to the economic growth whenever I'm calculating. Okay, it means there's so many units of the measurements when there is a need to calculate the economic growth. There are so many units of the measurements. So, these units of the measurements will apply to the economic growth. So, it means these measurements are depending upon the economic variables. Okay, so where the growth is being studied, so there are so many variables. So on the basis of the economic variables, there are so many units of the measurements. Okay. Okay, so how can we measure the economic variables? So these measurements are depending upon the economic variables. For example, so in economy, we can see that growth in the food products. Okay, so mostly food products are measured in tons. Okay, for example, in this year 2023, so we produced 100 tons of the vegetables. Okay, so 100 tons of the vegetables in the previous year, it means 2022, we just produced 50 tons of the vegetables. So here 50 tons were increased in this year. Okay, so this is the growth. Okay, so it means we produced 50 tons of the vegetables. Okay, so it means previous year we produced 50 tons of the vegetables, and in this year we produced 100 tons of the vegetables. It means 50 tons of the vegetables is the growth, economic growth. Okay, it means food products we can measure in tons. This is the unit of the measurement. Okay, next one is the road network. Okay, so it means there's so many units of the measurements. So food products means we can measure in the tons, and coming to the road network, it means we can measure the road network in miles or kilometers. Okay, so it means on the point of the government also they can they have some targets to complete the road network. For example, 2021, so 10 kilometers of the road network was constructed. Okay, but in 2022, 50 kilometers of the road network was completed. It means here 40%, it means 40 kilometers of the road network was more than the previous year. Okay, it means here the 40 kilometers is the economic growth. So here we are measuring the road network in miles or kilometers. Okay, next coming to the value of the total production. Okay, so for example, the total production within 1 year, so there is a value for the total production. So in this economic growth, we can measure the total value of the production in currency terms. Okay, so here currency terms means there are some currency related to the particular countries. For example, Indian point of view, our currency is in rupees. Okay, so it means we can calculate our Indian production, total production, so in rupees. Okay, next, per capita income. So it means income per head in the country. Okay, so that is known as per capita income. Okay, it means the total income by the population is equals to the per capita income. Okay, so mostly this per capita income also we can measure in monetary terms. Monetary means money. Okay, so in money related terms we can measure the per capita income. So next, total economic growth is a quantitative progress. Okay, so it means quantity means sum. Okay, amount or numerical value. So we can measure the economic growth in quantitative progress, not in the qualitative progress. Okay, so coming to the growth rate. Okay, so economic growth was completed. What is the economic growth rate? So here, whenever there is a need to calculate the economic growth, so in the same way we have to find out the growth rate also. Okay, so here growth rate means as compared with the previous year and present year, so the growth rate is there. Okay, so for example we can convert that particular growth rate into the percentage form. Okay, so it means when we will get the percentage form, whenever we compare the previous year and in this year, so we will get the difference between the last year and this year economic production. Okay, so that production will converted into the percentage form. For example, okay, so once you see this example, the dairy farm owner produced 100 liters of the milk in the last month or last year. Okay, so that is 100 liters of the milk was produced. Next, 105 liters of the milk was produced in this year, in this or month. Okay, so it means how many liters was increased? 5 liters. Okay, it means we are comparing this year and the last year, or this month or last month. Okay, so that's why we'll get the 5 liters of the milk is increased in this year as compared with the previous year. Okay, so here 5 liters is the economic growth. Okay, so whenever the 5 liters of the milk was converted into the percentage form, so that is the economic growth rate. Okay, it means whenever we compare the present time and the last year, so we'll get the difference of the production, whatever it may be. So in that time the production, the difference production was converted into the percentage form, so we'll get the growth rate. Okay, so here the increased liter is 5 liters and the percentage is 5 percentage. Okay, so here the growth rate is an annual concept. Mostly the growth rate is compared with the previous years means it is an annual concept. So we are not able to compare the economic production every month. Okay, so yearly once we can compare the growth rate or economic growth rate. Okay, so one more thing is economic growth value is neutral term. So why this is neutral term? Because whether it is positive or negative for an economy for a specific period. For example, last year 50 liters of the milk was produced, and in this year 100 liters of the milk was produced. Maybe in 2024 the liters of the milk was decreased, maybe. Okay, it means this is the neutral concept, so either it is positive or negative. Okay, so mostly the economic growth rate is very useful in the economy, because economists always calculating the growth rate. Okay, because there are so many uses to calculate the growth rate. For example, national level economic analysis, so we have to analyze the economy in the entire nation. Okay, so because we have to know the growth rate. Okay, it means we are increasing our production or not. So this is the importance of the economic growth, because whenever we calculate the economic growth, so in this point we'll realize that our economy is increasing or decreasing. Okay, next one is policy making. So for the policy making also the economic growth is very important, because on the basis of the economic growth our government is going to create some policies or schemes. Okay, for example, economic growth is very decreasing point of view, so our government may take the important reforms or policies towards the development. Okay, next one is the comparative economics. So here growth rate is very important and useful in the comparative economics. So whenever we are need to the compare with the other states or other countries, we just know the our economic growth, what is the India's economic growth. So this is very important. Even the economic growth is very important concept in the international level also, because international level financial and commercial institutions, so they are very important because for the policy making and future financial planning also on the basis of the growth rate data. Okay, so it means whenever there is a need to provide some policy making are giving advices towards the developing countries, so there is a need to check the growth rate or growth data of a particular country. Okay, so it means international organizations, international commercial institutions, so they need to check the growth rate of a particular country whenever there is a need to give advisors or giving some policy making. Okay, so for the future planning also, this is very important aspect of the economic growth. Okay.